Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have here an article featuring the United Kingdom's Armed Forces head, right? And he's an admiral, he's a sir, and he's going to make some statements, and we, or I at least, will analyze those statements to show you that the admiral in cause is either incompetent or he's evil. That is, he doesn't know what he's doing or what he's saying, so he doesn't have a grasp of reality, or he has one, but he says things just because he has an interest. That means he's dishonest, if he understands it. In life, you can assess these things with people who say things or they do things. You can think, oh, is this incompetence, or it is just, something else which could be attributed to an interest that would affect you negatively or affect others. Dishonest and, negative actions, ill-intended actions. But that's an assumption, but it's two of them. So let's start this article coming from the Telegraph, and we're going to have this sir talking about the international geopolitical analysis of what's going on this planet. Remember, he is the United Kingdom Armed Forces head. So he's not a baboon, at least he should not be a baboon. I also look over his bio, and I'm going to show you he's a well-trained military, and he's going to talk shit, basically. Here, let me put my goggles. World tensions, and I'm quoting, coming to a boil. And now, you, my friends, why do you think it's so? Well, he's going to tell us exactly whose fault that is. Warns UK Armed Forces head. The head of the British Armed Forces has warned that simmering tensions around the world, and I'm quoting, are coming to a boil. And why is that? I think it's because the interests, Western interests, that own the United States of America and main European countries, they have an interest to take over this planet, economically, politically, and militarily. They try economically. That's what I think. Now he's going to say, no, it's everybody else that we don't like who's bad, and we are the good ones. We restore order and discipline and love and happiness. He's an admiral. Now, Admiral Sir, so he's a sir, Tony Ratkin, the chief of the defense staff, cited a belligerent North Korea. Why? Who is around North Korea? Is North Korea doing anything to Great Britain or anybody else? You? Or you are conducting all kind of garbage drills around that country? Why is it belligerent? Because you are there, not because they are in next to your isles. Next. And the more assertive China and last October's barbaric attacks in Israel as some of the conflicts that have inflamed hostilities around the world. Well, you are in North Korea. North Korea is not near you. China is assertive again in its area, and you again are over there. The Americans are placing and making bases in Philippines or wherever they make it now, and China is assertive. And last October's barbaric attack in Israel, that's the beginning. According to this imbecile, that's where it started, in last year's barbaric attacks. That's where it all started, okay, since then. Yeah, they were barbaric. So, next one, what are you going to do? What are they going to do? Zip it. And that was what? Triggered by what? By Russia? Or your presence in the area? I'm not defending either those guys. They have their own problems over there. Israelis, Palestinians, Hamas, and those guys. But you can't just say it just started with those barbaric things. Speaking at the Ash Center Exchange in Washington, Sir Tony said, is this imbecile? You can't say like that. It's like I say, Mr. Emil. That's so imbecilic. You either say Emil or you say Mr. Cosman. You don't say Sir Tony. Oh, Mr. Emil. That's my first name. What are you talking about? That's disrespectful. You put Mr. and Emil. You put Mr. Cosman or you put Emil. We're at the level of Emil or at the level of Mr. Cosman. Which one is it? It's not in between. or Kosman. You can say it's a Kosman. Is Mr. Kosman or Emir? What is it? Well, anyway, these guys are just illiterate. Whatever. All around, and I'm quoting this Sir Tony. All around the world, long simmering tensions feel like they're coming to a boil. Believe me, there are some interests over there who are waiting for that. He added, the world is undeniably becoming more and more dangerous. Why? Who is in whose neighborhood? Who is in Ukraine? Russia or NATO? Who moved towards Russia? Let's put it that way. It has gone from being competitive and contested to contested. And now, as we saw from Iran's attack against Israel, it is increasingly combative. So it was competitive as long as you were winning. Now you're losing economically and you are imposing sanctions left and right. What? No, there's no competitiveness. Competitiveness is only when you win. When you don't win, you do something else. You start talking about, that's a human rights violation in India, all right? Or in Russia, or whomever competes with you and beats you fair and square. That's what it is. So shut the fuck up. Again, is this guy incompetent? Doesn't understand what's going on? I'm going to show you his bio. He shouldn't be. He's well educated. And he's what? An admiral. He's a sir. As we saw from Iran's attack against Israel. Anything in Syria, by the way? Anything happened in Syria before these guys, Iran, attacked Israel? Anybody? Syria, Mr. Ratkin, or whatever his name is, Sir Tony, let's put it this way. Sir Tony, do you remember what happened over there? Syria is a sovereign, independent country, you know that? Like Ukraine, right? Who struck with missiles in Syria, in Damascus, the capital? Who? Isn't that a declaration of war? It is. On whom? Again, this guy is just, I don't think he's incompetent. I think he's just a garbage of a human being. Why? Because if you make a career by lying all the time, you cannot be a good person. You can't sleep at night if you're not garbage. The military chief condemned Russia's war in Ukraine, which he said shows no sign of ending. Why? Isn't that because of you? Didn't it start because of Russia? But he insisted that Russia was operating on a downward trajectory. According to what? What's your evidence? Russia is on an offensive. Russia is advancing. Russia's economy is growing. Yours is not. You have garbage in your country with all those protests. Russia doesn't. Russia has a democracy. You don't. Your prime minister is appointed. Your king is appointed. Who else you want to look at? Who else you have? The foreign minister is appointed. The defense minister is appointed. You have only appointed garbage over there. What are you talking about? Well, Russians are fake. Not faker than you. And you support Ukraine. Ukraine barred political parties. Make it illegal for media outlets. Take care of the Christians over there, right? Minorities. And so on. And they arrest whomever they want and say, hey, that's a collaborator with Russia. Right here. SBU, arrest them. And you support that democracy? Garbage. This guy is an asshole. I mean, he's not an asshole. He's dangerous. He's, I can't go that way right now. He said Moscow had made itself weaker and more isolated. Are you crazy? Weaker like what? In what way? Militarily? There were articles that your intelligence services said that Russia has an excess of missiles. It has more missiles than it uses. Bounced back, they call it, if it ever went down anyway. Isolated? What? Isolated by what? By 30 countries? You isolate yourselves. It's like you go to a party, you and let's say I go to a party with two of my friends. And we go to a party over there. And over there is, let's say, 193 countries. People at the party. And I show up over there. No, it's not 193, it's 190. So we make 193. As many countries are over here. And we show up over there and say, hey guys, if you don't do what if you don't play the music we want, if you don't serve the drinks we want, if the ladies don't stay around us, we're going to leave the party. And guess what? You're gonna die. Your party is going to suck. And the guys are looking and continue what? Let's isolate them. We're not going to talk to the 190 countries. We're going to be just the three of us. Who's isolated? Who's isolated? You isolated yourself from 190 people, the three of you, which is Great Britain, European Union, and United States of America, plus Australia and New Zealand, Tokyo, plus Seoul. Let's say South Korea and Japan. That's it. That's it. How many countries are there? About 40? 40 out of 193. What are you talking about? Who isolated who? Russia does business with everybody. You try to isolate it, and you try to impose on everybody else sanctions if they don't isolate who you want to isolate. Russia's economy is doing well, better than yours. Better. What do you mean weaker? In what way? Again, an imbecile. But I don't think he's an imbecile anyway. He's just on the world stage, and that Vladimir Putin's Black Sea fleet has scattered as it has been forced to hide from Ukraine's naval drones. Okay, well, that's partly true. That's partly true. But the Russians are still using Caliber missiles from the Black Sea. So, Sir Tony said, what we have seen unfold in the past few years in a battle of ideas. A battle of ideas. And guess what? Who has the ideal ideas and who is the evil one? Between the authoritarian and belligerent Russia and a dynamic democratic Ukraine. Is this guy crazy? No, he's just a liar. So Russia is authoritarian but held elections. Belligerent because it pushes back on NATO expansion into Ukraine, which want to come to its porch, okay? Dynamic, democratic. Dynamic, what does that mean? Do you mean arresting people every day? And banning political parties, media outlets, arresting Orthodox Church priests and all that? Fucking minorities? Is that what is dynamic to you? I guess. And democratic Ukraine. Ukraine just missed an election. It has martial law. What are you talking about? Remember, this guy is an admiral, and he has to make decisions to defend you. Defend you. Now, if, let's say, he thinks that way, so let's say he's not a liar. But if he understands the world like that, imagine when he makes a decision as an admiral. I think we should just attack Russia right now. Do you think that guy is sane? What's going on? If he's not lying, that means he's an idiot. And he should not be where he is. Move on. Between a reckless Iran, so Iran is reckless, and its terrorist network on one side and the responsible nations of the Middle East on the other. Why don't you check and see how many civilians died in Gaza? Died, perished, just by... Responsible, you said? Between a China... between a China that believes it can dominate and coerce, and those nations that share a commitment to an international system that is open and free. My God, I feel like throwing up. China is the one that tries to dominate. Did you look at the map lately and see where the Americans have a military infrastructure around China and military bases, and the United States and Great Britain, it's a little fleet that has going around and participates in drills. Can you look over the map and see the Chinese dominating, trying it can dominate and coerce? Okay. He also said another challenge was the axis of evasion between Moscow, Beijing, and Tehran. Who pushed them over there? Who pushed them in that situation? Now, let's go and see this imbecile. So let's put a face to the imbecile. He's an imbecile, or he is just a... My friends, there's two options. I don't think he's an imbecile, though. I said it because, I think he's evil. I think he's just he doesn't work for Great Britain. That's for sure. So here you have it, 65 born. He is a senior Royal Navy, Chief of Defense Staff. All right, so early life and education, that's what I'm looking for. So he moved to He was educated in St. Brendan's College and then All Boys State Catholic Grammar School, Bristol. Oh, right there. Radkin studied law at the University of Southampton. So he is studied law, graduating with a Bachelor of Laws. He's a lawyer, degree in 1989. He was sponsored through university by the Royal Navy. I want to be sponsored by the government too. Not by the government, by the people. He continued his legal career alongside his naval service and qualified as a barrister and was called boom. He later studied international relations. So he studied international relations and defense studies at King's College London. He can't be an idiot unless these institutions are garbage. No, I don't think they are. Completing a Master's of Arts degree in 2000. All right, my friends? So he is not an idiot. That tells me he's a bad person. Bad person. Unfortunately, he is in a position supposedly of power. And imagine that this guy is going to make decisions. And he makes decisions. Now, it's like you talk with someone next to you and say, well, you know what? We are in a mountainside. Let's say we are strained. It's a rain. It's a bad weather. And we have to make a decision, life or death decision. Why? Because you don't want to be strained in a mountains and bad weather, and you can't go anywhere. So you have to make a decision. What are you going to do? And someone says, well, let's pray God. And tells you that, I don't know, as I always use it, Noah lived 900 years and he built the ark when he was 600. And said, let's pray. By praying, things will solve. What do? I tell you what I'm going to do. Fuck off, and I'm going to move on my way, asserting the situation, empirically evaluating the situation I'm in, assess my whatever I have, what I can do, what time it is, and let's do it. I'm not going to. Okay, so this is this guy, Admiral Radakin. Mr. Radakin is like that. Whoa, we're past that, okay? You pray, go ahead, but then you come over here and let's talk reality, all right? No, you can't, imagine this guy is your father. Imagine he's your father. What would you say? And he comes in your room and say, hey, Emil, how are you? How was your day? Well, thank you very much. Everything what he says regarding anything that he might have an opinion on or assessment, I can't trust that guy. If I don't understand what he's saying, let's say he's talking about something I don't know, I'm not going to believe anything he says. Why? Because the way the statements he made in that article that was reported by that article in the Telegraph tells me that this guy is either, as I said, incompetent, stupid, right? Or he's an evil guy. So whenever he talks about something I don't know, anything, that means I can't I check his facts, his statements. I say, no, hold on, I have to educate myself first. I have to read about this before I engage you again, because you're not intellectually honest, or maybe you're a retard. I don't know which one, or maybe both, I don't know. So here it is, my friends. This is the Admiral, Sir Tony Radakin. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.